Hey, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Iceman Guru, aka Dr. J, aka Mr. Accountability, aka Mr. 7 Days a Week. Back at you with another installment on the High Frequency Only channel, man. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff y'all already know. All right. Subject for today's video. They don't care about us, but do we? Let me repeat that for you. Topic and subject for today's video. They do not care about us, but do we? Okay. Let me start here. So I deem myself Mr. Accountability because I feel like adults don't make excuses. Adults hold themselves accountable in all aspects of life, whether it's relationship, work, etc. Okay. Now, so when I say they don't care about us, of course, let me define this before we move on. They would be anybody outside of the African American community. Okay, particularly when we talk about white people, but I'm talking about any other culture, race, ethnicity that is not intimately linked with African Americans in the community. Okay, because we know, and particularly in New York, some subcultures, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, of course, they're very closely linked to the African American communities. Even some Asians are very linked closely with African American communities. So outside of that, I'm speaking of they being the white power structure, white superiority, or just anybody that look down upon African American black people as a whole. All right. Now that we got that out the way, let's get to the real meat and crux of what I'm really trying to say here. Okay. Now, oftentimes, and I've been guilty of this myself throughout my life when I was younger, and I will say this: I don't think we should use youth as an excuse. But I do believe that there is a maturation process. Experience does help you grow, but it should never be used as an excuse. All right. So I know in my younger years, and I think a lot of other people probably can attest to the fact that when I ended relationships, whether that be friendships or romantic relationships, sometimes things can really turn south, and you can really say some things and do some things that would actually show that you really didn't care about that person at all, right? Because I literally was just seeing maybe 30 minutes ago, well, a interaction between a couple that ended within a couple minutes, split second like that, the relationship was ended. Can you really genuinely say that you love somebody and care somebody if you're willing to totally just split for somebody within a couple of minutes? I would say it's a hard argument or hard case to actually make. But I digress. The point I'm trying to make is that we oftentimes talk about what other people, particularly when we talk about police officers and their action towards the African American community or anybody else outside the community, what they do, and we say they don't care about us, whether we live or die. Okay? Now, of course, there's truth to that. Never would deny that. I often argue for that myself. But at the end of the day, look at how we treat each other, though. Right? When it comes to having kids with somebody, if it don't work, look how we treat each other. We would drag each other through the court system. We would talk bad to our kids about that person. If it's a friendship, we would go out our way to be demeaning, to really be totally disrespectful. And our community suffer from it because we see a rift between black men and black women. We see even probably a larger rift between black men. I pay attention to a lot because just the other day, and I know, and it was something subtle. Probably the young men probably were not thinking on the level I am because I'm probably at least 10, 15 years as senior, if not more. So it was 3 young men at the place that I was actually happened to be at. Okay. We was around each other for an extended period of time, probably about 15, 20 minutes. Okay. Not a word was spoken. Okay. Now, that's partly my fault, partly their fault. I'm not putting the blame totally on them. But a white man comes in and almost instantaneously there's conversation between the white man and the young black man. Okay. Something very subtle, but I think it goes to show you that we're not even cordial to each other. A lot of times when I'm walking past black women that I don't know, and Kevin Seven talk about it on the channel all the time, there's not a smile. Sometimes there's not even a recognition of your presence. I think that speaks to the fact that we don't even totally care and show genuine love for each other. Because I get it. We're strangers, right? But at the end of the day, we will also call each other brothers and sisters, right? So, are we strangers or are we brothers and sisters? We got to come to an understanding here, okay? Because when it comes to if there was any threat of violence or danger, you would want that stranger to help you. But when there is no threat of danger or violence, you don't want anything to do with that person. We can't look at things so black and white, so dry, right? So they don't care about us, but do we care about us? Do we really care about how black men and black men are treated amongst each other, whether there's conflict or things go wrong at all? Because if we're constantly bickering and back and forth with each other, what does that do to our kids? What does that do to our image? Because we already understand that people outside our community look at us a certain way. Because a lot of us portray a lot of those behaviors. Some people go out their way to disassociate themselves from their own families, let alone the ethnic image that we have as African Americans or black people. So as I got older, I started paying attention to say, hey, I had people over the last few years that, that we went our separate ways, but I still love them. For whatever reason happened, we no longer are like that. It's not that if I see them and we wouldn't talk and things like that, because that would happen. Like, we have to understand that everything doesn't work out the way we want it to work out, regardless of race, gender, or what have you. We got to be able to conflict resolve, problem resolve. We have to be able to deal with our trauma. We have to do these things if we want to be functional, if we want to be healthy, if we want to progress and make sure things are better for the next generation. Because we are role models and examples, whether we like it or not. In your own home, you are a role model. So we have to start treating each other better. Bump anybody else. Inside our own homes, units, we have to treat each other better. Brothers and sisters got to treat each other better. Cousins, mom and dad does. It has to start right there in that small family unit for it to be able to progress outside of it, in our schools, in our churches, other institutions, right? We have to model the behavior that we seek and that we want, period. Because I told my kids the other day, it is pretty funny to me that we would get mad at somebody for something that we actually do ourselves. It speaks to the delusion. It speaks to the dysfunction that oftentimes are seen in many of our relationships. So we have to be able to be an example and to show other people what it is that we want. So if we want people outside of the black community, African American community to treat us better, we have to treat each other better. Because when they see it, they're like, man, that's unity right there. That's power. That's strength. Okay? I'm going to treat them. Look at what the LGBT community is doing right now. Look at what the Jewish community is always doing. The Asian community. You not only see strength in numbers, but you see culture. You see togetherness, at least for the most part, right? So people gonna treat you based on what they see. If young ladies are on Instagram and other social networking platform and they always post something very risque and half naked, guess how people gonna treat you? Okay? So if we want people to treat us better outside our community, we got to start treating each other better. We got to be better friends, better fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, etc. The relationships dynamic have to shift. Because if we genuinely gonna truly say we love somebody, that gotta show. Right? It gotta show. Alright. We're gonna end the video, man. Hopefully you enjoy the content. You know, it's getting a little nippy. As Kevin Samuels says, the winter is coming. We still in fall, but the winter is coming, baby. So we're getting a little nippy. So you see I got my hoodie on. Alright. Alright. Hey. Subscribe, like. Let's get our subs up, man. Alright. Let's do so we can keep bringing that fire content. Alright. As always, I'm you, you're me, love always, love eternal. And we out this thing. Deuces.